We come to a story where you would think would be a positive thing. Conservatives have decided that they're going to have this little saying that they're going to put on bumper stickers and signs and T-shirts. It's called Pray for Obama, Psalm 109:8. Okay, they're praying for Obama. Okay, you can say, hey, you know what, they don't like him, but they're praying for him because he really needs the help. Okay, God bless. No problem. Go forward, right? Well, so somebody thought, hey, why don't we look up Psalm 109:8 and see what it says? Well, it reads, let his days be few, and let another take his office. Okay, I mean, that could go in a couple of different directions. It could sound kind of scary, which is the first thought I had, or it could just be, hey, you know what, let's hope he has just one term and his days in office be few. That makes sense, and it's as good a biblical quote as you're going to find for someone who's in a political opposition to you. And the American Civil Liberties Union says that they don't consider it hate speech. Anti-Defamation League says, look, some parts of it are troubling, but no, it's not hate speech. It's totally within the realm of political discourse in the country. And, the Christian Science Monitor interviewed some people who use the saying, and they seem like, good folks I don't agree with, but they seem like they think it's clever, it's cute. Now, of course, here's the problem. You can say that one's questionable, but the very next line, Psalm 109:9, is not as questionable. The very next line is, let his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. So when you read it together, it says, let his days be few and let another take his office, let his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. That really removes the political aspect of this as a possibility and makes it, well, obviously a hell of a lot more violent and dangerous. Now, but they don't say 109:8 and 9. They don't. They just say 8. Okay, so and I think most people who use it probably don't even know what the next line is, and they don't mean somebody should kill them, right? But if I was the guys who came up with this or who was pushing this, it would leave me uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to go in that direction. Now, I'm trying to be very open-minded on this. Frank Schaeffer is a guy who was part of the religious right, a very integral part of it, of that structure, and then he basically turned and wrote a book explaining all of their, downsides and how extreme they were and how they believe in end times to the point where they are pushing for an apocalypse and how dangerous that is. He's also written the book Patience with God. He's been on the show numerous times. He was on Rachel Maddow's program, and he said that he was, knowing the evangelical movement, that he was a lot more concerned. And he said this is the kind of violent imagery you see all the time. And then, in fact, if you read 109 in its entirety, it talks about how this guy has wronged the person that is speaking, and that they need to whack him. Okay, they need to put it in colloquial terms. They need to get rid of him. It's if we go to 10, may his children be wandering beggars, may they be driven from their ruined homes, may a creditor seize all he has. I mean, they're throwing the book at him, and they're even trying to foreclose his house. Okay, so it's not a pleasant psalm to go with. And Frank Schaeffer says that it's, quote, trolling for assassins. Now, look, that's problematic. I certainly don't want to say that everybody's doing this knows how bad that psalm is overall. Probably a lot of them haven't even read the Bible, even though they claim to be good right-wing Christians. But you don't need all of them to do something terrible. You just need a couple of crazy ones to try. Of course, you just need one to succeed. And Frank Schaeffer is worried that the more you push this out there and you push it out there, that you're just hoping that somebody steps in and does, God's work, because as he explains it, as we've shown on the show many times, there's, if you go to any of those protests, you see the signs. Obama's health care is going to create another Nazi Germany, is going to create more death camps and death panels, and he murders young children. I saw a terrible video on YouTube about it yesterday, where they wrote a whole song about how he's a murderer and he comes into your house at night and they dress up in an Obama mask and go around stabbing women's pregnant bellies and strangling their grandparents. I mean, it's the violent imagery goes on and on and on. And so that phrase that Frank used, trolling for assassins, really struck me, and it really worries me. And Frank brought up another good point, another story that we've discussed on the show here. The Secret Service has had 400% increase in the number of death threats against this president. And that's 400% more than any president to date since the Secret Service has been in existence. I guess so Bush wants to come in number 2. But it's been 400% rise since Bush. And they've had a 5% increase in staffing. These are points of concern. As long as something doesn't happen, they just remain points of concern. It's not a big deal. But if something happens, that's going to be a terrible, terrible day in America in so many different ways. And somebody responsible has got to head this off at the pass, but it doesn't look like there are a lot of folks in the conservative movement that are that responsible, that says, hey, you know what, let's not use bumper stickers like this. They lead in the wrong direction. Or let's not have signs like that at our rallies. Or let's not talk about how he's going to kill your grandmother, because that could lead a crazy guy to do something wrong. That voice of responsibility seems to be completely missing from the Republican Party.
If you like this clip, you'll love the whole show. You can watch that at theyoungturks.com.